Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Next Perfect Step, where all possibilities lie in conversation. I'm your co-host, Laurie Mullen.
And I'm your co-host, Kim McStay. And this podcast is a community-based space where people can learn and safely share their ideas.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Laurie Tremblay. We appreciate your support and joining us today. And Laurie is going to introduce our special guest.
Yes, I have the honor of introducing Laura Edelman. She is a Reiki master teacher, an IET master instructor, and sound healer. Laura's practice is located in Kingston, New Hampshire. Having a background in massage therapy, she has vast knowledge of how the human body functions and moves. However, she is also fascinated by the parts of us that we cannot see. She is a firm believer that disease and affliction of our physical body begins in our energy field. After experiencing energy work firsthand and healing herself, she realizes that this is how she wants to help others. Her greatest joy in this work is seeing people realize that they are at the helm of their own healing, which I am a firm believer of also. And am wonderful to say that she is also part of my support team. So Laura, welcome to the show. And we'd love for you to start by just telling us a little bit about your journey on what you do and how you got here.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for that wonderful introduction. So I feel like most healers, most practitioners, they got on that path. For me, I had to heal myself. And I don't think there's a healer out there that just started because they wanted to heal other people. It always starts with ourselves. I really believe that. So I would say, like you mentioned, I was a massage therapist, and it was back in 2001 that I began that journey. And it was a holistic program that I did over in Ipswich at what was at the time Polarity Realization Institute. And I had the pleasure of dabbling with some energy work while I was doing massage therapy. So that was really the first experience I had with energy. As a young kid, I was always the kid that was drawing the pentagram, not knowing what it was, and being told that's, the devil's symbol. I always was a seeker. I feel like even as a little kid, I was asking questions at Sunday school, asking what about reincarnation? And then being told that I should never say that word again, So just from a very young age, I learned that, we're supposed to fit in this box. We're supposed to, not sound weird. And I just, when I went to massage therapy school, I had that beautiful experience of feeling calm, feeling balanced. I was young, I was like 21. And I just went off. I'm trying to think. I don't want to ramble too much. Are you able to edit this, actually?
You're fine. You're fine. Just go ahead.
I don't want to do all the talking. So when I went to massage therapy school, I'll just try to make a long story short. I went to massage therapy school. I got a job. I ended up running into a pervert, and it kind of just pushed me away from that. I moved down to Maryland. I began selling wine. I went in a totally different direction. And then when I got married and had my first pregnancy, I lost my one of my twins halfway through the pregnancy. And that was devastating. I really, it took a lot for me to recover from that. And then when I had my second son, I had postpartum. So I did IVF for both my kids. I really wanted kids. So after having my second son and not feeling happy, nothing can ever prepare you for postpartum blues. You just, people talk about it, but I wanted nothing more than to have a child and more babies, but I was depressed. I lost myself. I suffered for several years before remembering that I can feel peace. I can heal. I remembered that time back in 2001 when I experienced the polarity therapy and the meditations and the crystal sound bowls. So, you know, I started seeing a practitioner, and things started to lift. It's just like a ripple effect. You make one good decision, and you start to feel better. So I would say it was like 2015, and that's when I met Grace, and I started taking classes with her. Reiki really was the big one for me that just opened up everything else. But yeah, anything that works for me, I feel like I want to share it with people. If I can feel better doing this, then hey, let me show you how to do this. That's just how I am. So it just kind of exploded from there. I started feeling really good, and I wanted to help other people feel good. Sorry, that was such a long story.
Don't be sorry. That's what this is about. This is what we started, was you're supposed to do all the talking. We want to share your story and highlight you. So yeah, do all the talking.
It's so weird for me.
I thought it was great because I met you in one of Grace's class when I lived in Salem. And so now you've met Laurie, and she's enjoyed these sessions with you. Can you tell us a little bit about, I love your yurt. Can you tell us about how you incorporated that and what your work is now, what you're doing?
Absolutely, yeah. So back in 2020, I was running my practice out of my home. I had a nice little office space where I did my Reiki classes. I would see my clients there, but every time somebody would come for a session or come for a class, I would have to empty my whole house. My dog would have to go somewhere because she would make a lot of noise. My family, they'd have to go out for the day. It's kind of a hassle. And for years and years, I talked about having a yurt. Even before I was into the healing world, I wanted a yurt, and I didn't know why, but I was just very drawn to the shape, the structure, the roundness of it, the high ceilings, the light. I just I was obsessed, to say the least. So in the integrated energy therapy training, the IET that you mentioned, that's what I do most of. And during that training, there are many, many ways of manifesting that they teach you. So I learned a lot of different manifesting tools. And you better bet that the yurt was a part of that. It was always yurt. And it just so happened that I was able to get a yurt finally. And when it was a yurt, it's a kit that I got out in Colorado. It had to be shipped here. And I ordered it before the pandemic happened. So early on in 2020, they told me it was going to arrive in May, and it did. And we got it up in August. I had to wait for a duck who waddled down where my site was right before the yurt came, and it set up its little nest, and I got to watch that. But it was definitely a test in patience, because I couldn't wait to get this thing built, but I obviously was going to let the duck, be safe in my property. So I'd bring her water daily and just watch her. And the first thing I did was, how long are they usually in their nest? Because I just couldn't wait to get going with the process. So yeah, it came at a perfect time. The winter of 2020, I was still able to hold classes and have clients. We would have the pellet stove going and all the windows open. We'd all have our masks on. So I was still able to hold space for people at a time when I feel like it was the most crucial. People really needed connection and to feel a part of something. So yeah, and then with the IET, integrated energy therapy, that's what I really do most of. I feel like Reiki's always flowing in our work. It's, you can't turn the life force energy off. So integrated energy therapy, we're working on cellular memory areas. We're calling in the angelic realm. We are helping our clients to release imprints or blocks in their energy field. I feel like it's most effective. The reason why I use it, I see such wonderful results in my clients, their ability to release just heaviness. Like, you don't even have to know what it is that's releasing. That's what I love about this work. You know, a lot of people that come to me they've done so much inner work. They've gone to therapy, but the talk therapy can only go so far. It gets to a point where you're kind of talking in circles. And sometimes I feel like the more we talk, the more we can kind of manifest things into being. So, to see people be able to lift heaviness from their being and feel lighter and walk away, and then it's exponential. They go home, they feel better. Their relationships, their husband or their roommate, they're going to have a better relationship with them or their kids. It just ripples outward, and it's just wonderful to see. I love it.
It is wonderful. And I have been experiencing this myself with Laura, and I can tell you that I feel 1,000 times lighter. And the way she described it to me is working through all of our body systems. It's something we've talked about here, is we're not just our physical body. We're not just our mental body. We're all of our bodies, right? Our spiritual body, all of it, all the way back to even past life bodies. And that's what Laura does. She goes through all of it and helps release it through multiple layers. And that's the wholeness that we need, right? It's not just working on our physical. It's not just working on our mental, but working on the whole body as a whole. And it has made a humongous difference in my life. And I agree. I mean, I think that healing to a point before was going through and reliving your trauma, especially I think in my own work, I've heard people come who have been to, all healing is helpful, but reliving it, rehashing it over and over, carrying that story and re-talking about it and reliving the trauma is not always healing. It's staying stuck in that story. And I think we're moving towards realizing that we don't need to keep retelling the old story. We need to create the new one of where we want to go and how we want to live, instead of constantly, again, reliving our old trauma and repeating it over and over again. But I just really, you should experience IET for yourself, because it has been wonderful for me. It's been an amazing experience, something I've never experienced before, which has been pretty awesome. But really, I mean, I came to Laura and I had done a lot of work. I have a lot of tools. I know a lot of tools, but there was just something I couldn't lift. There was a heaviness I couldn't find a tool to lift. And IET was able to do that for me, for sure. Yeah.
So happy.
So something else you do is Arcturian healing technique method. And you use that in your sound healing too, and I just love, I'd love for you to share a little bit about that. And I love the way that you describe it in your sound healing. When you talk about who the Arcturians are, you refer to them as the energy of ascended masters. And that resonated so much with me. I mean, there's many different, descriptions and way people feel them, but that just related a ton with me. They're beings that have gone through the acceleration of where we are now, have experienced what we're going through now, and helping us get there. And I just love that. And it makes them more real to me, because I think about that as we all connect with each other. Like if I've gone through something, I have something to help somebody else who's going through the same thing, which I just love that coordination in the way you describe it. So you want to talk about more about your sound healing and the Arcturian healing method?
Yeah, absolutely. Time to wave my freak flag, right? So the Arcturians, they presented themselves to me. I didn't know anything about, I was not looking up, space beings or aliens, anything like that. A lot of times in meditations, certain beings like Hilarion, an ascended master, came to me. Before I got into IET, the reason why I wanted to take IET was because angels were coming to me, angel names. I was seeing angels in my meditations. So I was like, okay, I need to work with angels. I need to find something. So back in 2017, I was taking a polarity course, a year-long course with Grace down in Gloucester. And I was having a session with her, and it was actually on my birthday. So I feel like this makes it even more special. I gave myself a session on my birthday. It was evening, and she was down at my feet, and my eyes were closed. And all of a sudden, in my mind's eye, I had two blue, like the only way I could describe it to her too at the end of the session was like bobbleheads. They were like blue light beings with big heads, and they were on either side. And I thought, this is new. I've never seen or experienced this. I never once felt scared or nervous. It felt loving, like they were helping. They were part of the session with Grace. So at the end, I asked her if she had sensed that, and she did. She said it was very, what's that movie? Avatar. She was like, oh, it's very Avatar-like. And she told me, you might want to look into Arcturians. So I did. I looked it up the next day, and I still wasn't sold on it. I was like, oh, okay. So I started seeing them. They just kept coming in. Every time I'd close my eyes to do a healing session or I would meditate, I would have these blue orbs on either side of me. So I'm like, okay, there's something to this. So I just kept on I started working with them, and I wanted to work with them more. I wanted to understand like how can I work with them? What am I supposed to do? So I just started Googling like I do, going down the rabbit hole of Arcturian healing, and come to find out there was a gentleman in Bedford, New Hampshire that offered Arcturian healing method sessions. So I didn't look into it. I just booked an appointment. I just felt like, all right, I'm doing this. So I had the healing session with him, and it was hands off. It was the most beautiful and energetic and moving healing session I had ever experienced. He was behind me the whole time, just running these frequencies. It was quantum. It was all quantum healing. At one point, I felt like my body was being like squeegeed out. I saw lots of symbols. It was profound. So like I always do, I'm like, oh, I have to learn this. So there's a gentleman, Gene Ng, out in California, who teaches this method at the Circles of Wisdom over in Methuen. So he teaches there quite often. So I took the 3 levels of the Arcturian healing method with him, and it busted my mind open. It was, as soon as you start dabbling in the quantum healing world and seeing what we're capable of, like taking the quantum spoon bending class with him was a prerequisite. And that was just like, oh my God, we are so able to do anything we set our mind to. That was like, we're unstoppable. That was the feeling I got after taking those classes. So I started using the Arcturian healing method in my classes. I would incorporate it in with Reiki, and I started feeling like, oh boy, I've done all this training with my hands. Am I not supposed to use my hands? And it was kind of like it was a pivotal point for me. Do I go down the no touch quantum, and I kid you not, Jesus Christ came to me in I'm not religious, but the Christ energy I obviously love. But he came to me in meditation, and he showed me his hands, and it was such a message of, use your hands. You can do both. So I have, and I've just kind of weaved it in anywhere I can. And with the healing, with the sound healing, it works so beautifully. It's like they're meant for each other. So I hope I answered your question about the Arcturians. I really feel like, I mentioned last night in my sound bath, and I think it's important for us to remember that as humans, we've become so domesticated. We're in our house all the time at night, where we've got our artificial lights on. And it's like yesterday morning, it was a reminder to me. I thought I was getting blinded by a street light as I'm at my kitchen sink early in the morning. And it's the full moon out there. So, you know, hundreds of years ago, people were under the sky. They were always looking at the stars and the constellations for guidance. And it's not that way anymore. We've really come away from that. So I really like to tie that aspect in to, you know, the Arcturians. And like you said, Laurie, that it really made more sense to you when you think of them as ascended masters. Because I always explain them as, they feel angelic to me, but really they are ascended masters. They're not ascended masters from Earth. They're from the Arcturus solar system. So, you know, and then I have the people in my life that are non-believers. Like my family thought I was crazy when I came out and told them what I was experiencing and what I wanted to share with other people. You know, I've been told, oh, don't do that. People will think you're weird. And, you know, it just got to the point where I had to it was such a big part of my healing and my identity, who I am, and the energies that I'm working with, that I was doing myself and others a disservice by not mentioning it and not using it. And honestly, when I started incorporating it and really talking about it with people, I found that, one, there were more people out there that have experienced it than I ever really knew. And two, I felt like more people were coming to me. I was bringing in my people because I was being who I really am. And I just think that's really important. It's just a perfect example of who cares what they think.
Well, I appreciate your vulnerability.
And I like how you overcame your fear. Like when you were little, people said you were weird and you couldn't talk about things. But you said when you were growing up, you're like, you know, I'm doing it. I'm going to be myself. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And then you find more people like yourself. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your vulnerability. And that's why I asked about it, because we have no problem talking about angels. We have no problem talking about ascended masters. We have no problem talking about other entities, goddesses and goddess. But when you talk about Arcturians or other star beings, people are like, and it shouldn't be. It needs to be a more conversation. I hope it makes people curious and that they want to look it up and find out more about it. Because like you said, they're angelic to you, and to me, they feel more the ascended master energy. And I would love for more people to be curious and discover it too. And I would love for it not to feel like, like what you said, I'm going to bring my freak out. I want it to be part of more of a normal conversation that we have, a curiosity about them.
Yes, I agree.
So how are you with your family now with all of this? Have you been able to break through that?
Yeah, that's a good question. My brother, who's he jokes around. He'll like, oh, you and your alien friends. He likes to, like a sibling, he likes to give me a hard time as I give him a hard time. But he was actually at my Arcturian sound bath last night, and he really enjoyed it. So I'm opening their eyes. They're slowly warming up to it. They've experienced it. They've experienced the energy, and you can't deny it. It's beautiful and it's loving, and it's just wonderful. I love being able to share it with people.
And you mentioned the
and I think it's today.
Go ahead, Kim.
Oh no, I was just saying, and now in today's world, it's a lot easier to bring up things than it used to be, and it's happening fast. People really starting to open their eyes and see what's out there and become believers, and sharing their need. And I'm glad you overcame all that so that you could be doing this.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like a couple hundred years ago, people would be, burned, frontal lobotomy for being crazy. People were afraid to speak of their like intuitive skills or whatever, they were able to tap into the spirit world, they were considered a witch. Yeah, this is a good time to be alive, to be healers for sure.
Do you channel the Arcturians, or do they just come? I mean, do they come through speaking, or is it just energetically that they're there and assisting in the heat?
When I get there, when I'm tuning in, I feel a lot in my body. I'm very clairsentient, but I do get channeled messages from them. Nothing long or extravagant, but I always feel like when I tap into their energy before a sound bath, it's like they tell me what the focus is going to be on for that evening. So it's always nice to kind of be able to, hey, this is, I tuned into the energy before you came here, and this is what the focus should be on this evening. The focus that I feel a lot with them is our mental state. I feel like the messages that I've received is, yeah, of course we want to heal our emotional state, our physical state, our karmic state. But really, if we're not mentally sound, if we're not able to have, positive thoughts, or, get out of that negative thought loop, if we're not able to do that, then nothing else is going to really come about. You're not going to be able to heal your emotional state or your physical or your karmic. I really feel like they've really, like, you think about the quantum healing is really all about our thoughts. It's really about thinking something and just knowing that it is. We're just going to heal now. It's just very quick, and it's just really believing that anything is possible, that everything is possible. So yeah, a lot of the messages, like last night, the message was really all about the heart, and that it's our bridge, the bridge to heaven and earth, and that we are bridges for each other, and to really just take care of our bridges was the message last night. Take care of and messengers, and that we all sharing our stories, just being able to tell our stories, it's going to resonate with somebody, and and if you can help that one person by telling your story, I feel like that's, you've done your job. It's worth it. Did I answer your question about that? I don't know. I kind of go on tangents.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, your sound baths are wonderful. I've experienced both one-on-one and in the groups, and they are wonderful. And you do more than just the bowls. You use all types of different sounds.
Yeah. I kind of got addicted to buying healing sound instruments. But yeah, I feel like it's important to have variety. Each sound kind of evokes a different feeling or emotion. The gongs can get very ominous, and then you come in with the little chimes, and it's sounds like a lot of times the chimes will make people feel like they're kids again. And so yeah, there's just so many. Music and sound can really bring back memories, and it's a great way to just the sound waves themselves. Like I usually explain to people, we hear them, but most importantly, our body's feeling them. The sound waves are going right through our body, right through our energy field, and it's kind of a cool visual to just imagine any imprints in your energy field just kind of being carried away, just like whoosh, the sound waves just come and carry it off. It's magic.
I remember being in a roundhouse on an Indian reservation in New Mexico, and they were explained about like the energy in the roundhouse was so powerful. Like it just, I don't know, I forgot the original explanation, but I know that it was done on purpose for the purpose of the energy. So have you experienced that with your round ear as well?
Yes. I feel like I call it my little cosmic womb. It just is like it just feels very womb-like in here, especially at night when we have the little tea candles and just like lights. And yeah, the sound really, the way it bounces off the walls, I feel like the acoustics, it makes the acoustics really nice in here. But yeah, I feel like there's something sacred about the shape for
Well, I
sure.
think that goes with feng shui too, right? Like the energy flows better around versus the corners getting stuck in the corners and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So yeah, there is that theory that, it's more free flowing.
yeah, yeah. There are times where you have no idea where the instrument is coming from. Like I could be on one side of the yurt and you're hearing it over here. Um, and a lot of times in the sound baths and the sound journeys that I run, people hear things that I'm like, and I hear things sometimes. I'll be drumming and I'll hear it's almost like somebody's singing, but nobody was. So we have a lot of helpers. So every sound bath, I'll open up a healing vortex. I'll invite in our helpers for the evening, our angels, our star beings, ascended masters, and then our higher selves, of course. So I really feel like we have a lot of helpers in here. There's a lot of different energy, and why not just start singing for us and accompany me? But yeah, I feel like with IET, when I started calling in the angels, that was a big pivotal point for me when my intuition started to become a lot more strong. I feel like um, there was this pressure before. There was this pressure to make sure my clients enjoyed their session. You know what I mean? There was this, like, it was on me, and I felt like a lot of relief when I started calling in the angels and calling in our spirit team to help. And they sure do help. And it takes the pressure off of you, because as a healing practitioner, as a healer, we're not doing the healing. And that's something, that can be a misconception. People think we're doing the healing, and we're not. We're facilitating it. We're the vessel where the energy is going through. But I'm not forcing anybody to release their imprints or their blocks. They're doing that all on their own. So it was a really big pivotal point for me when I started calling in the angels, the Arcturians. And when I teach integrated energy therapy and I do the attunement, I have to tell people, you might hear me over there and you might feel somebody's hands on your shoulders. And this is, the angels are helping me attune you. Just like to make people aware that you could possibly sense, feel, hear the angelic realm, the angels. They want to help because we're asking them to.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
It's so beautiful. Yeah, just the amount of.
So how do you? No, I was just going to ask you, how do you go about cleansing? Like, do you do that, or do you invite all of the guides and angels in and just kind of let them linger? Because, I do healing work as well, and it's the clearing part that I am not always mastered at. But I'm curious about what other people do for that.
Yeah, so for the clearing, I use Palo Santo, and I look at the clearing as just transmuting any dense, heavy energy that's left behind, like after a healing session. I just use the intention of raising the vibration of any energy in here that's of a lower vibration. But as far as like our helpers coming in, so when I open the healing vortex, I always make sure at the end I close it, because we don't want, it's a container that we open up, and it could drain us of energy. I'm not a believer of, like, I don't really worry about picking up other people's negative energy. I've never been one to worry too much about that. I feel like anything is clearable like we can send.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like,
agree with it.
yeah, I never really prescribed to that. I didn't like that feeling of being worried. I just felt like I was going to be attracting the very thing I was trying to get rid of. So yeah, so I always make sure I
Good point.
close. Yeah, yeah. So I close that healing vortex. So I always, at the end, I send them back up. I thank all of our helpers, and I just ask that they go back to the place where they feel most comfortable. That's how I always end it. Please go back to wherever you came from.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, just know whatever you're doing to clear, you're doing it your way, and it's the right way. It's the right way for you.
So do you have ongoing classes and do you have a website that we could take a look at and
Yes,
schedule?
I have a website. It's onelighthh.com. So it's One Light Holistic Healing. And yeah, I do private sessions. I do a sound bath once a month, the first Wednesday of every month. That was a big thing for me, just being consistent, like having a set time so that people would know. Because I was kind of, in the beginning, I was a little all over the place. And I was like, I don't know when my next one will be. So yeah, that's been really nice. So it's been 9 months of consistently doing it the first Wednesday of the month. And I had 10 people register last night. It just, every month it's great. And I get new people and the same people returning. And as far as classes go, I don't have any Reiki or IET classes on the schedule as of right now. I'll put a class up if 1 or 2 people are interested. And, lately people haven't really been interested in learning. And, old Laura would have been thinking, well, what's wrong? Why doesn't anybody want to take a class with me? And I'm learning as I get older that, things change, things are shifting constantly. If there's a little bit of a slow period in your practice or in any aspect of your life, it's not a mistake. I feel like, it gives us an opportunity to check something else out or rest or whatever it is.
All in perfect timing, isn't it? Yeah, that's great. So do you have anyone have anything else to add before we close? All right. Well, thank you for listening. And please, send us your comments. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, you can reach us at thenextperfectstep@gmail.com. And we'll put Laura's information down below. Laurie.
So if you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, how is your intuition leading you to the next perfect step?